Municipal Court for the City of Stoughton is now in session. The Honorable Matthew T. Rohde presiding.
Okay, please be seated. Please silence all cell phones, cease communications. I'll call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rohde. I am the Stoughton Municipal Judge that covers the cities of Stoughton, Dunkirk, or towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland. Let me go through some of the procedures we follow in the courtroom. These procedures should have been available to you in the pamphlet as you entered the room. This is plea night tonight. The three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. We'll take cases on a first come, first served basis. When your name is called, please come forward. I'll explain the citations to you, the range of penalties, and the elements of the citation. If you enter a plea of no contest or guilty plea, I'll review your citation. If there's a factual basis, find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of no contest, use a guilty plea if you want to admit it, if you want to admit guilt. A no contest plea is similar to a guilty plea, but you're not admitting guilt. You want basically the end of proceedings this evening. A no contest plea, a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a later civil action. Let me explain. If you get involved in a traffic accident, receive a citation, if you enter a no contest plea, if the person can't use your no contest plea against you if they sue you for damages in a later lawsuit. The forfeiture range from $20 to $1,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates we add costs to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture will result in a total cost to you of $124. I'll grant you 30 days to pay the fine. If you need additional time, please let me know. I have limited options to collect. I can send your delinquent citation to the state for collections. I can impose ask for a tax intercept on your taxes, or I can suspend your driver's license in some cases. I'd rather not do that. If you need additional time to pay, just let me know, and we can grant additional time or work out a payment plan. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll set your case over to a pretrial conference with the city attorney. It's conducted by phone. The date of the pretrial conference is October 5th, 2022. Chance for you to have a phone conversation with the city attorney, see if you can resolve your citation. If you cannot, you come back to me for a trial. If you can, the disposition will be reported to me, and I'll see if I approve the terms of the agreement. Those of you here facing traffic offenses should understand that you'll lose demerit points upon conviction of most such offenses. If you lose 12 or more points in a 1 year period, you lose your license to drive in Wisconsin, and you will also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before entering a plea. You have a right to ask for a continuance. This means that you can request the case be set over for another time, either to consult with a lawyer or for some other reason. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Those of you charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence are entitled to request a jury trial in the circuit court upon payment of the proper fees. All their cases will be handled in this court with the right to appeal my ruling to the circuit court. That concludes my opening remarks. What we'll do at this point is I will call the first case, and that, thank you, Gianna Marie Thomason. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, Ms. Thompson, you've been cited for speeding on a city highway 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding is?
Yes.
Okay. You understand that it was 16 to 19 miles over the limit is what you were cited for?
Yes.
Okay. And you, do I have your correct address on Summer Trail Road in McFarland?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. So the penalty on this is 4 points. Now, the way speeding works is 1 to 10 over is 3 points, 11 to 19 is 4, and 20 or more is 6. And that's 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. So you're at $50 plus costs. The penalty range on this is $30 to $300. So you're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to this, do you have a probationary license?
I do.
Okay. So just want to be aware that your second citation, moving violation citation, the points double. I don't know if this is your first or second or...
This is my first.
Okay.
Yes.
So if found guilty of this one, the next one, the point totals will double. So
Okay.
Just so you're aware of that. In addition, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. I've spoken to the prosecutor about these cases, and they would make the same offer, so I'm allowed to basically, normally I can't amend citations to the bench, however, I am allowed to give a 10-mile leeway. So in this case, instead of 11 to 19 over, I could reduce it to 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4, same forfeiture of $124. Do you understand that as well?
Yes. That would be
Okay.
great.
Any questions for me?
I do not.
All right, now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options would be guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
I plead guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, if there's a factual basis in the police report, I'll find you guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your guilty plea of speeding 1 to 10 over for 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $124. I'll give you 30 days to pay. Will that be sufficient?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for me?
I do not.
Okay, that will take care of it for this evening. Please be careful with the speeding from now on, and watch the speed zone changes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very
The
much.
bailiff will give you the disposition, and with 30 days to pay, and then once you receive that, that will take care of it for this evening then.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Pay on the back, or you can pay it right downstairs at the dispatch window.
Okay. Thank you.
Jack Anderson? Now, Mr. Anderson, do I have your correct address at Koshkanon Road in Stoughton? Okay. You've been cited for indecent conduct in language. That citation carries a penalty of $187 plus cost. It's $100 plus cost. This is an ordinance violation, so the minimum forfeiture would be 20, maximum forfeiture would be 1,000. So you're not you're on the lower end of the scale. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's indecent conduct in language. I don't see this citation very often, so I'm going to read the elements to you then. That way we both can understand it. It's 50-5-F. Which states as follows: indecent conduct and language prohibited. No person shall use any No person shall use any indecent, vile, profane, or obscene language or conduct himself in any indecent, lewd, lascivious, or obscene manner within the city. So the city would have the burden of proving all those elements at your trial. Okay, so you understand what indecent conduct and language is?
Yes.
Okay, I've got your address, I explained the elements. Do you have any questions for me?
Your Honor, instead of,
Hang on, before we get into that,
Sorry.
I probably shouldn't have asked that. The prosecutor's not here, so I can't hear any evidence or anything like that. So, but, I mean, I want to make sure that you don't tell me like your side of the story or anything. I can listen to that if you want to enter a guilty plea, but if you want to contest the citation, probably enter a not guilty plea and talk to the prosecutor.
would it be possible to ask for a disorderly conduct?
If you want to do
Instead,
that, what I would
Still plead guilty?
What I would recommend, I can't amend from the bench, so what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea, and then you have a pretrial conference with the prosecutor, and then you could ask them to amend that to see if they would agree with that.
I'd rather just get it done today.
Okay. Are you certain? Because that's the option, but I can't really change the nature, except for speeding citations, which I've stated before. I can't really change anything else.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for me?
Nope.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty? Is that yes?
Yeah.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have everything, police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Nope.
Any mitigating factors?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, do you want me to reduce the forfeiture?
I would like you to, yes, please.
Okay, and the reasons, what would the basis, what would your reasons be for that?
I apologized to the officer the next day when I spoke to him on the phone. Like you said, though, you can't really offer me anything right now,
Right,
but I would
okay,
offer things, other, like community service, things like that.
right. Are you currently employed and you're 18 or above? Yeah, I usually only offer community service to juveniles for that. So.
Okay.
But your apology does seem, you mean it. It does seem that you seem sincere. That's the word I'm looking for in your obsession. Based upon that, I would reduce your forfeiture from $187 to $124 then.
Thank you.
How much time would you need to pay the $124?
I can pay it today.
Okay. I'll give you the grant 30 days, but you can take the form that you'll receive, and you can take that to the dispatch window downstairs and pay the forfeiture then. So.
Okay.
And once you receive that, that'll take care of it this evening then.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming in. Carrie Hanger. Good evening. I need to check something briefly. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. There's something I needed to check. Thank you for your patience, Ms. Sanger. Do I have your correct address on Cricket Lane in Middleton?
Yes.
All right. You've received a citation from deviation from designated lane. That citation carries a penalty of 4 demerit points and a forfeiture of $98.80. Do you understand what deviation from designated lane is?
Yes.
Do you need me to read the statute or the ordinance to you?
No.
Okay. Now, this is 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. As I stated before, you can't accumulate 12 or more points within a year. This is also a $30 forfeiture plus costs. Let's see, 346.13 sub 3 carries a penalty of $20 to $40. So it's a narrow forfeiture range, and you're right in the middle of it then. Now, in addition to that, the reason why I wanted to check this, so here it is that 346.13, I wanted to make sure that it's not on there. There's certain citations that will, if you found guilty of you have to take a mandatory class to the Department of Transportation, and this is not one of them. That's what I wanted to verify then, so no classes involved with that. So I have your address, explained the deviation from designated lane, I've explained the forfeiture, range of penalties and points. It covers my thing. Do you have any procedural questions for the court?
No.
Okay. Then now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options would be guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. Well, the not guilty plea will schedule your matter for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. That will be on October 5th. It will be a phone notice. We'll give you the notice in just a minute. It's a chance to tell your side of the story, so tell the prosecutor why you believe that you're not guilty and why they wouldn't be able to prove their case. And when you receive that, so make sure that you make that phone call, because if you don't make the phone call, city attorney will tell me that you didn't make the phone call. I'll find you in default and I'll impose those penalties. So
Okay.
if you resolve it, the city attorney will report the results to me. I approve most of the results. If you can't reach a resolution, you come back here for a trial then.
Okay.
It's trial, city presents their case, and you present your case with witnesses, and then based upon the facts, I decide whether whether you committed the citation as alleged.
Okay.
Okay, once you receive that, the notice of the pretrial conference, that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. So when this, on this date, at this time, I'll listen. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Emma Smith back? Ms. Smithback, do I have your correct address on Dunkirk Avenue in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You've been cited for non-registration of an auto. The citation carries a penalty of $90.80 and 0 points issued your driver's license. This is $30 plus costs. The forfeiture range on this, I believe, is 30 to something. Let me take a look at it. While I'm looking at that, have you registered the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. How soon after this did you register it?
About 2 days after.
Okay. Do you have proof of registration?
Yes.
Do you want to give it to the bailiff? Thank you.
It's August 24th.
Okay. And right the next day, let me see to make sure it's right vehicle number. Okay, thanks. For my own curiosity, the forfeiture range is $0 to $200. The goal on these non-registration citations is to make sure that you're registered. You did that. You showed me proof of that. Based upon the court's own motion, the court's going to dismiss the citation then.
Great,
So,
thank you.
All right, that's dismissal. Do we give her a copy? We'll give you a copy of the dismissal. That way you can keep it for your records then.
Thank you.
Dean Smith? Mr. Smith, do I have your correct address on Roby Road in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You received a citation for failure to obey a traffic sign or signal in a work area. Citation carries a penalty 3 demerit points and a forfeiture of $136.60. That is $60 plus costs. The forfeiture range on this citation is as follows. $40 to $80. So you're right in the middle of that range. At 60, it's from 40 to 80. Do you understand what failure to obey a traffic signal in a work area is?
Well, I was a little confused.
Do you want me to read the statute to you?
Well, it said local traffic only.
Okay, hang on. I can't hear the facts. The reason why is that the prosecutor's not here. If you tell me that might be considered testimony, and I'd have to recuse myself from the
I was just
case.
wondering if you could tell me what local means.
What's that?
What does local traffic mean?
If you have any doubt about the nature of this citation, what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea. Talk to the prosecutor about this and see if you can get I don't know what the definition of local, and I'd have to hear it at a trial, but I don't want to do that before then. So that would be my suggestion, is that you enter a not guilty plea. Talk to the prosecutor about this and see if you can resolve it then.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. We'll go ahead and enter a not guilty plea for you. I'll give you that notice in just a minute. It will be a telephone conference at October 5th. Make sure that you make the call in or around that time, because if you don't, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty and impose the forfeiture. But it's a chance to tell your side of the story. So if you need to follow up with a phone call with any other phone call, any documents or definitions of local, I'm sure that the prosecutor would be interested in hearing what your thoughts on the matter then.
Okay.
So, all right, once you get that notice, that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you. Connie Terry? Do I have your correct address on Circle Drive in Stoughton?
Correct.
Okay. You've been cited for failure to yield the right-of-way. This citation carries a penalty of $111.40 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. That's $40 plus costs.
I'm sorry, what did you say? It was 100 and,
I'm sorry, let me,
you're talking a little too fast.
I know, I have that problem sometimes. Forfeiture is $111.40. It's 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. That's $40 plus costs. So in other words, the court, the forfeiture here is 40, but the state adds all those costs. And then we end up, paying different costs like the highway and that's how $40 turns into $111.40. Okay. So the forfeiture range on this is as follows. It's $20 to $40. It's $20 to $40. You're actually at the maximum amount of forfeiture as it is right now. In addition to the failure to yield the right-of-way, the points, and the forfeiture, if you're found guilty of failure to yield the right-of-way, what happens is the state Department of Transportation mandates you take a traffic safety class. If you don't take the traffic safety class, you'll be found, you'll lose your driver's license then. So there's an additional penalty. It's not through this court, but through the Department of Transportation, DOT type of thing. So those are the penalties that you're facing.
Oh, my.
And I cannot, I don't have the authority to basically to amend the citation. So if you'll basically, if you enter a guilty or no contest plea, you'll pay the forfeiture and you'll get the points assessed to you, and then you'll get a note from the Department of Transportation that you have to take a traffic safety class regarding failure to yield by a certain date. So if you want to avoid that, you can enter a not guilty plea and talk to the prosecutor. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead and enter a not guilty plea for you. Set this matter up for pretrial conference on October 5th. Thanks. I remember 10/5. I couldn't remember. I had to think about what month it was. October 5th. So we'll give you that notice in just a minute. So what happens is on that date and time, you call the prosecutor's office, the city attorney, and discuss the case with them, and then see if you can resolve it before it comes to trial. Now, the prosecutor does have the ability and authority to amend the citations. I don't, not at the initial appearance night tonight. So, okay. Any questions for me?
I guess not. Is there, in that notice, is there a specific time frame?
Yeah,
to make
the
that call?
bailiff will point that out.
Now, if for some reason, and then make my call before this.
Patrick Hansen? Mr. Hansen, do I have your correct address on Maple Court in Stoughton?
Yes.
Okay. You received a citation for operating while suspended. Citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what operating while suspended is?
Yes, I do, but
Okay.
the question that I have is,
Hang on. If you tell me something and you let me answer this before I tell it. If you say that you didn't know about it, there's a citation there's a part right in the statute that says knowledge doesn't matter in this. So, but if you want to contest it or have questions regarding the points or the amount, and I see where you brought a folder, I don't know if you've gotten your license updated with that. If that's the case, what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea. Talk to the prosecutor about it. Tell them that you didn't know and that you updated it, or whatever the circumstances will be. I'm sure they'll be very interested to hear that.
so where do I pay this thing?
That was what I would suggest that. But if you don't so I've explained that to you. Let me go through the rest of it. So, Forfeiture range on this is $0 to $300, $124 and 3 points. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. Would you like to enter a plea at this time?
No contest.
Okay. You understand with no contest plea, if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yes.
All right, let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say about your forfeiture?
No.
Okay, you just want to make the payments. I'll find you the face amount. I'll find the face amount of citation is appropriate. I'll find you $124. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and pay right away. Otherwise, I'll grant you 30 days to pay. Court's going to take a recess for a minute. Okay. The court will return to session at this time. Aiden Rita. Do I have your correct address on Williams Point Drive in Stoughton?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Let's see. You have 3 citations. Let me go through one at a time. The first one is operating without a valid license, first violation. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what operating without a valid license is?
I do.
Okay. Forfeiture range on this, you're at $50 plus costs. Forfeiture range on this is as follows. $0 to $200. Okay. Next citation is vehicle operating failure to wear a seatbelt. That citation carries a penalty of $10 and 0 demerit points. You understand what vehicle operating or failing to wear a seatbelt is?
I do.
Okay, it's a flat $10 fee. That's the forfeiture range on this. The third citation is disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle. That's 0 points, and the forfeiture is $124. Forfeiture range on this is $20 to $1,000. You're at the low end of the scale on that. Okay, all 3 citations. Any questions regarding the nature of any of these citations?
No.
Okay, now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
I'll do no contest.
Okay, you understand with no contest plea, if there's a factual basis in the police report, I'll find you guilty of all 3?
Yep.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of all 3 citations. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
I don't.
Okay, I just have to ask, how come you appeared
Oh,
tonight?
actually, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I guess for the, what was it, the, oh, jeez. Which one is it? The disorderly conduct?
Mm-hmm.
So for that one, I guess I would just like to say that I was kind of goofing around. I know. I was at a stop sign and I let the clutch dump a little bit and did a little bit of a, I skirted the tires a little bit. Guess it was just me being stupid.
Okay. The clutch, so you drive a stick?
Yep.
I didn't think anybody drove a manual transmission anymore, so.
Right.
All right. Is it an older car or is it a new one?
No, it's an older one.
Okay. All right. The $10 for the speeding, or for the seatbelt, there's nothing I can really do about that. And the same with the operating without a valid license, that's pretty standard. But the disorderly conduct, I do have some, I do have some latitude in that. So for the disorderly conduct, instead of $124, I'll reduce it to the minimum of $20 plus cost will be $86.20. So not a huge savings, but at least it's a little better deal for that. Just I want to make sure that when I know you dump the clutch out, but that does cause a disturbance, and sometimes it does scare other drivers as well. So, but I think you're sincere tonight, and that's why I'm reducing the forfeiture to the minimum for that citation then. Okay. Do you need time to pay?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm unemployed right now, and I'm working on getting my occupational license, so I don't actually have a license to get to work, so that'd be another issue.
Have you ever had a license?
I had my temps for a little while.
Okay.
And I got suspended because I got in a car accident.
Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to get an occupational license. You probably have to get a regular license first, would be
Right.
my understanding then, so, okay. All right, how much time do you need to pay?
Just a couple months.
Okay. Do you want to change it to 60 days instead of 30? Okay.
60 days.
Yeah. What's the new due date?
November 13th.
Okay, new due date will be November 13th. If you need additional time for that, just, there's a number on the forms you can call and schedule a time to ask for more time. So I don't have any problem. Usually, normally that's the prosecutor, but you usually have to appear in court just to make sure that there's a record then.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Liberty Smith? Ms. Smith, do I have your correct address on South Street in Stoughton?
West South, yes.
Thank you. You received a citation for operating a motor vehicle without proof of insurance. This forfeiture carries, this citation carries a penalty of $10. Do you understand what operating without proof of insurance is?
Yes.
Were you insured at the time?
Yes.
You want to show that to the bailiff? Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right, I found that you did provide proof, and you had proof at the time. I'll make that finding, and on the court's own motion, we'll dismiss the citation then. Thanks for coming in. Oh, actually, I'll give you the receipt of that as well. Sorry. Here, let me.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. That's all right. I'm kind of doing that all day.
Thanks, guys.
Dondre Graham. Mr. Graham, do I have your correct address on High Ridge Trail in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Okay. You've received 2 citations. One was operating motor vehicle without proof of insurance. That forfeiture carries a penalty of $10. Do you understand what operating without proof of insurance is?
I had brought it back down to the police station because they told me I had 72 hours to bring it to get it voided. But the officer that overlooked the ticket, he had signed off on the ticket and said he was going to email the officer that put me over because he couldn't amend it. But I showed him the proof of insurance. It was in the glove box.
So it was in the glove box and it was insured at the time?
It was a rental car that I was in, and I didn't know that. I didn't know what a.
Oh, it was a rental car? It was a rental car, you couldn't find
Rental
it?
car. So I came back the next day, and the officer signed off on it and said he was going to email.
And you would swear this would be your testimony in court that you had proof of insurance at the time?
Yeah, he wrote it on the ticket. I didn't bring it because I thought it would have got.
That's fine. Okay, based upon the court, I'm court satisfied that the car was insured, especially if it was a rental car. So the court's own motion will dismiss the operating motor vehicle without proof of insurance citation. Okay. Second citation was speeding on a city highway, 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Now, do you understand what speeding on a city highway is? 16 to 19 over the posted limit?
Yeah.
Okay. That's 4 points. The forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're at $50 plus cost. You understand that as well? Okay. And in addition, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway for speeding citations. So instead of 16 to 19 over, I would reduce that to 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $124. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for me regarding the speeding citation? Now is that time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, I'm sorry?
Guilty.
Okay, you don't want me to read off no contest or not guilty, so.
No, I'm aware of it.
Okay. So you're entering a guilty plea, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your guilty plea. Accept your guilty plea and find you guilty of speeding, 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $124. How much time do you need to pay the $124? I usually grant 30 days. Is that
I get an
sufficient?
extension.
How much time do you need?
Probably like 60 days.
Yeah, I'll give you 60 days to pay the forfeiture as well. So that'll be November 13th. Will that be sufficient then?
That's cool.
Okay. We'll give you the notice date where you can mail in payment then. Once the bailiff gives that to you, that will take care of this for this evening. Any questions for me?
That'll be it.
All right. Once you receive that will take care of it then. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Nobody else is in the courtroom? Do you want to run through the rest of the details? Okay. That's why I didn't bring the laptop on last night. This is always we always shorten it in September because of the clerk's conference, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. All right. Let's see, Tanya Adeli, default judgment. Jeremy Andreas, default judgment. Alma Ball, default judgment. Laura Bambro, default judgment. Mallory Barbeau is a default judgment. Ketlin Borgrud, is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Silas Bozak is a bond forfeiture. Luis Bravo is a default judgment on both citations. Josie Brown.
And I'm not sure how you do those because it's not full paid, but partial.
Okay, we'll forfeit the bond that he's paid so far, find him in default for the rest, and grant him 30 days to pay. Antoinette Bryant is a default judgment on all 3 citations. David Bunnell is a default judgment. Denisha Burnett is a default judgment. Derek Campbell is a default judgment. Fatisha Clark is a default judgment. Jeffrey Colon is a default judgment on both citations. Sonia Darlington is a bond forfeiture. Trinity Davis is a default judgment. Christian Diaz Ocampo is a bond forfeiture. Stephen Dickinson dismissed upon request from the city. Court will, based upon the city's motion, dismiss the citation against the defendant. Cale Drierson is a default judgment. Randall Ely is a bond forfeiture. Troy Erickson is a bond forfeiture for both citations. James Fitzgibbon is a bond forfeiture. Peter Gander is a bond forfeiture. Shay Giovanni is a bond forfeiture. Carrie Gray is a default judgment. Mara Han is a bond forfeiture. Aaron Henderson is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Gesmond Heta, I have a request to dismiss from the city. Based upon the city's motion to dismiss, the case is dismissed against the defendant. Daniel Hoffman is a default judgment. Anne Hoyle is a bond forfeiture. Samuel Herdlicka is a bond forfeiture. Wesley Lloyd Edward Jordan Buskager is a default judgment on both citations. Sophia Clawitter is a default judgment. Jeff Langston is a default judgment on both citations. Latonia Langston is a default judgment on both citations. They're the ones.
They were here earlier and they thought they only had 1 ticket, but I'm gonna contact them. They wanted to set up a payment plan.
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, I'll see if they want to set their court date because they weren't sure. about
Okay, sure. Nolan James Richard Larson is a default judgment. Brian McDonald is a bond forfeiture. Heather Miller is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Katrina Moore is a default judgment. Thomas Naughton is a bond forfeiture. Ashley Nelson is a bond forfeiture. Holly Nelson is there. Thank you. Forfeit the bond on what they paid and default on the rest. Impose a face amount citation with 30 days to pay. Holly Nelson is a bond forfeiture. Todd Nelson is a default judgment. And then, let's see, actually forfeit the bond on one and default on the other one. Connor Nett is a default judgment. Alyssa Nicosia is a bond forfeiture. Julie Oberdoff is a bond forfeiture. Tracy Odegaard is a bond forfeiture. Jesus Palacios is a default judgment. Anthony Peterson is a default judgment. Rebecca Pura is a default judgment. Holly Pettis is a bond forfeiture. Kyle Pogue is a default judgment. Lindsay Radonis is a default judgment. Alexa Crystal Rivera Perez is a bond forfeiture. Emily Rowe is a plea sheet. Almost wondered, I saw some defendants, they would be reading the screen instead of listening to me. I wonder if they should shut it off. Yeah. So, I got an Outlook. I don't have permission to open it.
I have a hard copy here.
Okay. I actually got it here.
Oh, you do?
All right. Basically, a plea for leniency. So, I'll treat that as if Ms. Rowe appeared in person tonight. Let's see. 17 over, reduce that to 1 to 10 over, 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $124 with 30 days to pay. Joseph Roselle is a bond forfeiture. Jack Sanford. Oh, you're right. It is a default. Default for Joseph Roselle. And then Jack Sanford. I was ready to read that plea. I'll enter a not guilty plea. It kind of wants to modify the citation, so I'll enter not guilty plea. Schedule a phone conference, and if the defendant appears, great. If not, it might be a default anyway. Adam Saunders is a default judgment. Joseph Shipper is a that is a bond forfeiture. Jacob Schultz, guilty plea received. Accept the guilty plea, find him guilty, impose the face amount of citation, 30 days to pay. Shyla Sess is a default judgment. Carrie Sparks is a bond forfeiture.
There's a Smith in between there, that's a default.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Naharaze Smith is a default judgment. Thank you. I had scribbled all over the others for the appearances. Chelsea Steckbauer is a default judgment. Larry Stevens is a default judgment. Amanda Swenson is a default judgment. Billy Joe Swenson is a default judgment on both citations. Peter Tenjum is a default judgment. Jason Thomas is a default judgment on both citations. Judith Ann Thompson Lopez is a default judgment. Amy Trees is a bond forfeiture. David Vale is a default judgment. Andrew Virgin is a default judgment. Bryce Allen Vitens Klingerman is a default judgment. Andrew Wright is a bond forfeiture. Marcellus Wright is a default judgment. That concludes the initial appearances.
One reopen. That's supposed to be here at 6. She missed her pre-trial last week.
All right. Court's in recess. I'm going to get a drink of water. The court will return to session at this time. Court will call a case of City of Stoughton versus Stacy Johnson. You are Miss Johnson?
Yes.
Okay. You missed a pretrial last week, lost the paperwork, and were not aware of it.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
you previously entered a not guilty plea?
Correct.
Okay. I'll go ahead and grant your motion to reopen then. Do I have that?
I have the new schedule for.
Oh, sure. Do I have the one I need to sign? I know. You did give it to me. Let me see where I can find it. I think I did.
Call that number on the back.
Okay, so is this a phone call?
Correct. They'll call the city attorney and then try to work out the case with them.
If not, you want to just send it to
Okay,
me. I'll
so
sign it,
I
get it back.
called,
I didn't confirm it.
Yeah.
I called
Perfect.
that number
That
on this
number-
day.
I'm sure you did. I wonder if I left it. I wonder if I left it in the hall.
Okay,
If you get a busy signal or something, just call them back until you talk to them, okay?
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is that it? Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Court is adjourned.